Hi guys, today we will learn about the requirement elicitation processes. In requirement engineering, requirement elicitation is the practice of researching and discovering the requirements of a system from users, customers, and other stakeholders. Commonly used elicitation processes are the stakeholder meeting or interviews. Requirement elicitation techniques: interview number 1, interview; number 2, questionnaires; number 3, background reading; number 4, introspection; number 5, social analysis; number 6, requirement workshops; number 7, brainstorming and idea reduction; number 8, storyboarding; number 9, prototype. Number 1, interviews. What is interviews? One of the most important, popular, and most commonly used requirement gathering technique is the user interview. A simple, direct technique that can be used in nearly every situation. In this method, the requirement engineering analysis discuss with different types of the stakeholders to understand the requirements of the system. There are two main types of interviews: closed interviews, open interviews. Closed interviews. In closed interviews, the requirement engineer prepares some predefined questions and he tries to get the answer for those questions from the stakeholders. Open interviews. In open interviews, the requirement engineer does not prepare any predefined questions and he tries to get the information from the stakeholders in open discussions. Close-ended question. A close-ended question is one that demands mostly a brief yes or no response. Open-ended question. An open-ended question is one that demands far more than a brief yes or no response. Interviews. Generally, the interviews start with predefined questions. However, in the process of interview, a lot of different considerable things may arise that leads to open discussion. Interviews are effective for understanding the problem in the existing system and to find the requirements of the stakeholders. To make the interview session effective, the requirement engineer and the stakeholder has to perform in the following ways. Interviewer should be patient enough to listen the stakeholders' views and the requirements. He should be open-minded. Stakeholders should be expressive in the interview session. They should express their views in definite context. The interview context: establishing the user profile, assessing the problem, understanding the user environment, recap for understanding, analyst input on user problem, assessing your solution, assessing the opportunity, any other requirements, wrap up. Number 2, questionnaires. Questionnaires are one of the methods of gathering requirements in less cost and reach a large number of people only in lesser time. Can be manual, paper form, or electronic. The result extracted from the questionnaires must be clearly analyzed. The result from questionnaires merely depend on the two factors: effectiveness and the design of questionnaire, honesty of the respondents. A well-designed and effective questionnaire can be used to decide the actual user requirements, objectives, and the constraints. The designing of questionnaires. The steps involved in designing and conducting the questionnaires are: the purpose of survey should be clearly defined, the sampling group should be decided. Clearly state why the respondent was selected for questionnaire. Provide clear instructions on how to complete the questionnaire. Avoid asking two questions in one. Do not ask questions that give clue to answer. Keep the questionnaire brief and user friendly. Continue. Preparing and developing the questionnaire, conducting the questionnaire process, gathering and analyze the results. The designing of questionnaire is multi-stage process and should be viewed accordingly. Assume 30 to 50% return rate for paper and email questionnaires. Assume a 5 to 30 return rate for web-based questionnaires. The arrangement of questionnaires. The step in arranging a questionnaire are: the questions should be arranged well so that general questions are followed by a particular questions. Arrange the questions such that easy questions come first. The question relevant to the main subject should be given high priority.